Hello, everybody. This is Ilana and Susan with the next episode of the Faster EFT Fireside Chats. I got it right this time with no stumbling in the middle. Yes. Okay. And today we're going to talk about something, anger. What exactly is anger?
Are you asking
Anger?
me?
Well, if you want to answer me, or I can answer.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Let's hear you.
Anger is a very strong expression of emotion about something that's going around in your surroundings, or that's something that's happened in your surroundings. And what I find, at least for myself, is that very often anger is because I am blaming somebody else for something. I feel like they don't understand what I'm trying to tell them, or they don't get my point, or things in general are not going my way, and I feel
that
angry
creates
about
even
it.
more frustration.
Right, that's
when
more
you feel like the person doesn't understand. It's like, how do I relay this message?
Right, it's more frustration. Anger, I would say, I think anger is more when I feel that someone's doing something deliberately against me.
Yes.
That's when the anger comes in.
And that's
yeah.
Oh, it's just a tough place to be. You can't get a whole lot resolved when you're angry. You know, when you're in that, whatever it is, there's so many ways that we create this, we make it happen. For me, it's usually when someone doesn't understand what I'm trying to tell them. I know we have a lot of the spouse thing going on where the pointing, the blaming, and some people do that thing. And I was raised around that. So I saw it. I had great examples. I had great teachers.
Well,
so
that comes to the point that we learn anger. We learned it sometime in our life. It's a program that was learned. That's what I believe. And we can unlearn it. And that's where the Faster EFT comes in. Because Faster EFT teaches us how to change our programs. Okay, but I think that also anger sometimes can be a good thing, because anger can make you do things that you would not normally do. I mean, some people who are just in this, sleepiness, and the anger pulls them out and pulls them into action. So in that case, anger can be a good thing. The bad time is when anger gets too strong that you don't know.
And you just shut down. You just you're just paralyzed with it, because a lot of times with the anger, fear is there. I find, and for some reason, I think we're in fear when we're angry because that person doesn't understand. It's like, oh, will I ever be able to make them understand? Will I not? And that generates a little bit of fear. And that's when I tap. We cannot change anybody but ourselves.
That is correct. But what I find helpful also is I'm not always ready to start tapping right at that moment when I'm really angry. I find sometimes I have to bring myself out of the anger, and once I'm out of my anger, then I can tap better. So let's first
breathing, the breathing exercises, maybe walk away to a room by yourself if that's something you're able to do, and try some very deep belly breaths. Belly breaths are cool because they act almost like a drug for me, because if the further I breathe down, if I'm taking the really big belly breaths, it's like boom. After about 3 of these, I'm just more calm. And a few minutes later, I can go ahead and tap.
It brings you into the now, and right now you realize there's nothing going on right now.
No.
Whatever it is that you're angry about or that you're fearing is already in the past or it's in the future. But right now you're okay.
And tapping in the heat of the moment is it's very important to do that. You don't want to hold on to this stuff.
You don't want to let it grow big.
Right.
Because once it starts growing really big, it's much harder to get rid of.
It is. And then you end up in this position where you're going to bed angry. And that is not, that's
absolutely not.
Never something you could do.
Yes.
I know that the Bible does speak of it, but it's sound advice. You don't want to go to bed angry. So get out of the anger before you go to sleep.
So what I usually do is I'll first bring myself into the now, either by, going to the other room, taking those deep breaths, or, going in. We have a punching bag actually hanging out on our terrace, or I'll go there and punch the punching bag, or
Fantastic.
I'll just go to my room and I'll start doing the Ho'oponopono. And after, I did it right, didn't I?
I said it wrong for so long. I probably wouldn't know it. I say Ho'oponopono, but that might not be right either.
Well, I'm not sure, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
It's a great technique.
It is. It's quick and it's
very
effective.
Quick, yes.
And
but after, it takes me like 5 minutes or so to get me out of the anger. Maybe some people will take longer than that because I'm not such an angry person in general. Once I get out of the anger, then I'll use the tapping to go back to the core.
What is important, this little exercise the one that you do, whatever you do to break that trance, that is the most, like we tap, the most important thing is that you recognize it and then you respond to that emotion.
Right.
It's and I can't stress that enough. I've seen people stay in anger for days. Not necessarily me, but maybe somebody I know that spoke with me about being angry at somebody. I could just the list is endless, and I don't really see much anger coming into my life anymore. But spousal arguments, those do happen.
Right.
But that point is very important.
Issue to take into consideration also, and that's when you're angry at someone else because of something that they did or something that they said. What you're really doing is you're taking on their issue, because it's not about you when they say something. Right. It's all about them, unless you let it be about you. So if you don't want it to be about you, it's better to let go of it.
Right.
To whichever technique you use.
There's go ahead.
But then to keep it inside of you and let it grow and grow and grow until it's going to harm you inside. It's not going to harm them.
And one thing you can say, I have a friend of mine. She sent me a message this morning. She said one thing. I think she was in Laura's meetup, and she said one thing really resonated with me, and she created a huge shift in her life because of this. Not my monkeys, not my circus, not my monkeys. And and at one point I would bring myself back to this, I think Rita had, suggested it or said it to me about something going on or whatever. But really, if you think about that, bring that into your awareness. Is this my problem? No.
Right.
Why am I having emotion?
Do I want it to be my problem?
Right.
Is the better question.
You want to be in that circus. Right.
And if you say no to that, then let it go.
We also began, I expanded on that by saying, because I've seen the program a lot, the caretaker thing. I don't really like labels. Sometimes you have to use a label to get across what it just makes it a little bit easier. I think that's a pretty safe one because many of us see something going on and we feel responsible for that. So what are you really doing when you're doing that? You're jumping into something that you're always they get upset with something. You're going in to help. You're coming to the rescue every time. This person, rather than teach them how to fish, you're fishing for them every time.
Right.
So, rather than catching your own fish, and you know what I mean by that, maybe. Okay. I know you're Jewish, but you know what I mean. So.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my worst memories is going to the marketplace with my grandmother. I remember for the Sabbath, she would go and she would buy fish, and it would be terrible. They would take them out of the tub and bash them on the head, and then she'd put them into the basket she was carrying with her, right? And then at one time, she asked me to wash the basket while she went to get some fruit. I must have been 5, 6 years old, and I'm washing the basket, and suddenly everything in the basket just jumps up, and I ran away from there. My grandmother comes out and goes, "Where did you go?" Yes, I know what you're talking about by catching your own fish. Yes.
So we're fishing for other people rather than teaching them how, and Fast GFT really does teach you how to harness those emotions and to deal with them in a responsible way.
Yes.
But those people will become, it creates a codependency there. When you're doing that, I'm here to rescue you. I'm going to save the day. When you're not working on you,
Right.
you can't really do that. So,
Well, you see,
anyway.
the other big advantage of working in the heat of the moment on that anger that comes up is that you'll very often experience the apex effect, where you won't even remember what you're angry about because you get it so early that it goes so fast that you're like, what was that I was angry for? Oh well.
Right.
And just walk away.
Oh, that happens to me all the time.
Which is
But
so much
I'll sit there and
healthier.
think, what was it? Like if somebody's tapping on me, I'll be like, okay. They're like, step back into the memory, and I'm going,
what memory? Which memory?
yeah. With Robin, it used to happen all the time. And it didn't happen for a while, but it just happened to me last week. So
yes,
I had to be reminded, because I'm not taking notes on me when of course.
But even
so
when I'm tapping on myself in the heat of the moment, I'll often, if I catch it early enough, I'll do that first tap, and then I'll say, "Oh, what was it? Oh well,"
right.
and walk away.
And walk away. We don't need to try to find the problem again. If you can't find it, then recognize that it's gone and just go about and
grateful.
Just be thankful. Yep.
Thank you.
Really.
So basically what we're trying to say about anger is that anger is generally when you're having bad feelings about someone else's issues. And there's no reason for that because it only hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. And it means you're taking on, and soon you'll have taken on so many people's issues, you'll have no more place inside of you, and you want place for the good stuff.
And if you are in a place in your life where you're not judging things good or bad,
right?
And you kind of go through life like that, or if you can just begin to practice that one thing, and you're not judging so much of what you would become angry about, like you read something and you don't agree with it at all. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. Doesn't
matter. You don't need to object to what this person is writing about. You don't need, or somebody says, you don't need any of that, because you have a peace inside of you that is just, surpasses that. And I found that to be true only after I started with tapping, fast EFT style. Is that, and it was really cool when it happened. I kind of sought out where judging things good and bad, I didn't want to do that, because either way you're judging. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
For instance, but an interesting thing happened. I have a client, and every time I work on her, something is said to the effect of, "Oh, that was very good. Oh, that was very," and go on. I appreciate that, but I want this to be their experience. So you don't need to tell me, if I'm not doing something you need, then please, by all means, tell me whatever it is. Or if I offend you, but I usually go through that beforehand, before they can be offended or anything like that. And most of them understand, because I explain first, that I may say something that doesn't sit well with you, and I'm doing it because I love you. So, I know my neighbor, she completely understands that now, but because we want to get them to that lowest,
right, so we can get them out faster. Right. But there's one other fringe benefit to being able to stand aside from it and accept that it's not yours, it's theirs. And that's that there's nothing that's ever more maddening for the other person when they tell you something and you tell them back with a perfectly straight face and a smile on your face that, it really doesn't bother you. Well, that must be your belief. It's not mine.
Right.
And, it's suddenly something strikes them suddenly like, she really doesn't care. It doesn't bother them a bit. And then they don't do it anymore because it doesn't bother you.
Right. And it's not that you're not acknowledging, it's not a thing.
No, it's not.
I don't want somebody to join in my anger. Now, it's kind of nonsense when you think about it.
Yes.
It's just nonsense behavior. It's childish. It's not, and like I was saying, you're operating from that lower level of thinking all through that. I mean, it's everywhere.
Absolutely.
So if you're using higher thinking, as some people say, and you're taking, I guess maybe the high road, But if you're witnessing it, it's much different than experiencing it and taking that emotion in. It's not healthy to be in that kind of a trance, you know?
It makes life much easier when you don't have to get into that trance.
Yeah, because then you don't do stupid things too behind your anger, you know?
And it improves your quality of life. It improves the quality of your friendships. It includes
all your relationships.
All your relationships. It just improves your life tremendously and makes life easy the way that it's supposed to be.
And when you see that somebody is angry, that's very close to you, somebody's angry, and you can see that that's their belief, you can begin to, if you know this person well enough and have heard stories, of when they were growing up or whatever the case may be, you start, I don't know about you, but as a fast EFT practitioner, I go, the belief is I'm not good enough, or the belief is I'm not worthy to be listened to, or I'm not, or I'm stupid. It could be anything, and they make it so obvious. It's just, you just pick up on, all you have to do is observe.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes.
Listen
to the words, and yes, absolutely.
And when you're thinking like that, you automatically, how can you be angry and thinking like that at the same time? So you're really, it is. Fast EFT is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, till next episode, happy tapping.
Happy tapping. Peace out.